Okay, folks, welcome to the Queen Anne's County Commissioners meeting. This is a public meeting that is being aired live on our local cable television station, QACTV 7. This meeting is also being streamed live over the internet at www.qac.org/live. These media broadcasts provide county citizens an opportunity to watch and review our scheduled public sessions. We acknowledge your participation, and by attending, you acknowledge that this session is both recorded and aired. The scheduled public agenda is available on the information table just outside of our meeting room. Press and public comment will be taken and is limited to 3 minutes per person. If you care to speak, you must sign the sheet on the information table outside. Comments longer than 3 minutes can be submitted in writing for the Commissioner's review. During the meeting, we would ask that you turn all electronic devices off and hold personal conversations outside of our meeting room. We will now stand and be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Commission President Jim Moran.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If we could remain standing for a moment of silence for the two Army Rangers who passed away in Afghanistan. Thank you very much.
Okay, we held a 30-minute closed session for administrative functions, boards and commissions, and personnel. No decisions were made in that closed session. We can now move to today's agenda. Today's agenda for our meeting on February 11th, 2020, along with the regular and closed session minutes from your January 28th, 2020 meeting were distributed for review. Are there any additions or corrections?
Just the agenda to the two desk items.
Okay. We do have two desk items that are included. Okay, can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. That brings us to our first press and public comment period. Thank you for taking the time to express your views to the County Commissioners during this public comment period. Comments are limited to 3 minutes in length. Comments longer than 3 minutes should be submitted in writing. When you come forward, please speak clearly at the standing microphone. State your name, address, and topic of interest. Keeping with the dignity of our office, we ask that all views be expressed in a respectful and civil manner. The Commission respects your desire and right to convey your message freely, and we ask as a courtesy to the Board and our citizens that you respect the Commissioner's request and refrain from naming citizens and name-calling when offering any critique.
Nobody signed up, so would anybody like to speak? Seeing none, we'll close press and public comment.
Okay, all right. All right, Commissioners, we can move on to new business. If you want to turn to tab 2, we have our Department of Public Works here this week. Alan Quimby, our Director of Public Works. We've got, I believe, 3 items. So tab 2, page number 1, item number 1. I'll turn it over to Alan. Alan?
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
We have 3 items on the agenda. The first 2 are under engineering and administration. First one being a letter, informational item, being a copy of a letter that we sent to the Riverside Estates folks, informed them of the project we're moving forward with to remediate the mold issue and doing some other dress up that site. It's proceeding along fairly well, although there's a considerable amount of rot that we did not anticipate running into.
Floor joist rot? That kind of rot?
Everywhere.
Really?
Not entirely due to, from my opinion, poor maintenance, but either poor construction or poor design. Basically, the northern units, the water in between the interface of the siding and the masonry, water got in behind that wall somehow. So it's a process. It's a good thing we started when we did, because some of the units, particularly the northern units, are in pretty bad shape, but we're working through it.
Can we also work with the Housing Authority to help them coming up with a maintenance protocol so that they know what they should be doing going forward, don't have these problems?
For sure.
Thank you.
Any questions on the Riverside letter?
Have you, you found the rot, have you completed any, or are we in the process, you were just on your first section, or?
What we're doing, we had 6 vacant units. We need 3 vacant units to start moving people out, and we're trying to get 3 of those units livable, and we're pretty much there.
And then you'll notice them and move them, and you'll move them, and then you'll be able to,
Correct.
okay. How many units total is it? Do we have to?
There's 23, of which, like I said, 6 are vacant. One of the units is an ADA unit that had no crawl space and really didn't have any mold issues, or just leaving that one alone. There's 22 units that need to be remediated.
Okay, great.
And there was also some grant money that they got for some of this work, right?
Not so much the mold remediation, but a lot of other things.
While you're in, they're able to
Yes.
upgrade some things. Good.
Todd hired a consultant who has a lot of familiarity with the grant programs and it's really proven to be productive, or it seems to will. We haven't gotten anything yet, but it seems to be very productive. Not only there, but at the other aging places like Terrapin.
Do we have any particular sense of what this whole, not just that, but Percy Thomas, everything in the system is going to cost us per year, just so that we can kind of get a sense of what we're looking at budget-wise over the next 3 or 4 years?
On the presumption that Riverside is the worst, which I hope it is, and once we get over that hump, I think we are budgeting about $250,000 a year
Do you
to
think
keep
that's
ahead of stuff.
adequate? Because we've got all the utilities, I mean, the ice boxes and some of the stuff.
Well, that's where a lot of the grant money comes in, fortunately.
Yeah. Well, that may be, but I'm just trying to get a sense of, do we know what we're looking at? 'Cause
I don't know that we know what we're looking at, but I know
No.
that's what we're budgeting.
Yeah, in addition to that, the Housing Authority did submit a budget request that we have not reviewed with Public Works yet, but we will be reviewing that with them through their agency. So we have some numbers to look at and vet as we go forward through the budget process this year.
How's it going of relocating some of these folks that are
We haven't got there yet.
not that far yet?
Well, this was the first step to let them know what the process is going to be. Again, we have to get 3 units, and we're not just doing the mold remediation, we're doing painting, we're replacing the flooring, replacing some of the appliances, we're doing other things, being over there. But we have yet to displace anybody.
Okay.
Very good.
Well,
Thank you, sir.
The second item, and Todd can probably speak to this better than me because it wasn't really my project, but just to let you know, the Circuit Courthouse has received 2 or 3, I guess, awards, which is, I guess, always nice. They received the County Engineer Project of the Year and also received the MD Maryland Quality Initiative Annual Awards of Excellence, which is supposedly a big deal. I'm not familiar with it. Todd was impressed with
Windows are
it.
breaking already.
You tend to downplay all your accolades anyway.
Well, you know, you get awards for showing up too, so. Anyhow, look good on
Now we
somebody's
measured
desk.
his results.
Why don't you pass
Success.
those around so they can get
No
their
phone calls and
fingerprints
emails.
on
That's
those
how he
things, just
measures.
like the trophy, right? Yeah,
Those are the front windows.
yeah. As the recipient of the,
Are we going to have Todd give a speech with that and then play the music at the end?
Are they the bulletproof glass?
not bulletproof glass, but as a recipient of the County Engineers Project of the Year, it gets submitted to the statewide Maryland Quality Initiatives, and that was an award we received in downtown Baltimore City as the Award of Excellence for the courthouse project. We're very, very proud of that. It's a great building, and we're very lucky to have a new courthouse that'll serve us well for many, many years to come.
At least 219, right?
At least, that's right. So,
Good job, Al.
yeah.
So will these be,
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll put it over here.
He's gonna knock that over.
will these be displayed in the courthouse?
We can display them wherever we like. We could put them here in the Liberty Building for a bit, but we can move them around. We can display them wherever we choose. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. All right.
McDonald's.
Well done.
Good.
That concludes the general.
All right, we need a motion to go into
There
sanitary.
you go. Thank you.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
There we go.
Thank you. On February 4th, we opened up the Phase 3 engineering bids, Phase 3 being Kentmore and Queen Anne Colony. What we've decided to do, both in Phase 2 and Phase 3, is to do the community mains first, to get the pipes in the street in service, and then we would let the contractor install the step tanks in the individual properties. That allows the step contractor to visit the property once, do what he has to do, connect the house and get out, as opposed to what we're doing in Phase 1, where they have to come back time and again, which is inefficient for the contractor and it's a nuisance for the homeowner. So we let the community mains project out for engineering. We got, we only got 3 bids, and Century Engineering, who's doing the Phase 2 community mains, was the low bid. So we're recommending that you make an award for the Phase 3 community mains engineering to Century Engineering.
All right, so, I mean, that's a pretty, how is Century able to do it?
So much cheaper.
Yes.
We asked that same question in Phase 2, because if you recall, they did,
Yeah.
they got both contracts in Phase 2, and I don't have an answer for you, but they did it.
Okay. So we shouldn't probably question it because they did a good job of Phase 1.
Right.
Okay.
The other 2 engineers asked me the same question.
Less overhead.
Can I get a motion? All right, I move to
Motion to
condition.
approve the bids as submitted.
Second?
Any discussion?
I was just looking for the official
with you.
wording, trying to find it, but that works.
Any discussion? Seeing none, we're going to be voting on to move to conditionally award the bid in the amount of $96,700 for the design of the SKI Phase 3 Community Mains to Century Engineering Incorporated, with the condition being the approval by MDE of their efforts to satisfy the DBE goal, and authorize the Director of Public Works to execute the design contract once MDE approves said effort. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? So moved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we also opened up on that same day the Phase 2 community mains construction bids. But we weren't familiar with the low bidders, so we didn't bring them to you until we vetted them. But I think you'll be happy with those results as well.
That's all directional.
It's all directional, and that was part of the problem, that their directional experience wasn't that evident, so we decided to take a little longer time to look into them.
Okay. Very good.
But it was
Al.
a good bid.
Before you go, Commissioners, right behind that memo from Mr. Quimby, there is a budget amendment, CC 19, to provide the funding for that design contract. So can I get a motion?
I
to
move
approve
that we approve CC-19.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? So this looks like it's all coming from basically leftover money?
It's the loan proceeds. We get a.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And then
that gets
consultants.
charged back to the, as a special benefit assessment as part of the project.
Good. As far as engineering?
Yeah.
Yeah, sanitary was fronted, and then get paid back.
Good. Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? So moved. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
Great. Commissioners, if you want to turn to tab number 3 for our action items this evening. We have a total of 9 items, including our 2 desk items. Item number 1 on page 1 is a closeout agreement for a community development block grant for the Chester Y facility. Can I get a motion on that, please?
I move to sign the closeout agreement for CDBG Grant MD 16 CD 13.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
All right, thank you, Commissioners. Item number 2 on page 6 is another community development block grant item. It's for a housing study grant agreement, and this is a grant that we received for a housing study, and this is the paperwork to accept that grant. So can I get a motion on that, please?
I move to sign the grant agreement for CDBG Grant MD 20-CD-4.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? So moved.
Thank you, Commissioners. Item 3 on page 43 is a Community Partnerships student member nomination for Alana Ellis to their board as a student member, and they are seeking confirmation from the Commissioners.
I move to accept the nomination of Alana Ellis to the Board of Queen Anne's County Community Partnership for Children and Families to serve the remainder of the 3-year term ending on June 30th, 2022.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Okay, thank you, Commissioners. Item number 4 on page 44 is Budget Amendment CC 18 for the Department of Aging Capital Grant, and this is for their preventative maintenance program for vehicle repairs, and this is additional grant money they're receiving of $18,000 for that program.
Motion to approve CC 18.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? So moved.
Commissioners, item number 5 on page 45 through 47 is Budget Amendment CC 20 from the Queen Anne's County Public Schools. They've got several projects they want to close out on the capital side and divert $28,470 to maintenance equipment for building maintenance at the schools, including ladders, vacuums, floor scrubbers. Can I get a motion on that, please?
I move to approve Budget Amendment CC 20. Queen Anne's County Public School request to close out the noted FY18 capital projects and transfer the remaining unspent funds to current open capital projects for custodial equipment.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion. Just so everybody knows, this is basically left over. I'm not sure how many projects that they completed, but the money was left over because I guess they had a visit from OSHA, and some of their ladders are 30 years old. So if you notice on here, they've got a lot of ladders they're buying, vacuums, wet vacs, just general services equipment that they need to replenish and or replace. So that's what this is all about. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
All right, thank you, Commissioners. Item number 6 is the Queen Anne County Public Schools 17th Annual Awards Gala Support. And last year we donated $1,000, so if you want to support this program this year, they are requesting that.
Motion to donate the same amount as last year, $1,000.
Second?
A motion and a second. Any discussion? I went last year. It was a nice event, and it's definitely worth the $1,000. So I'm glad we're doing that, and we will be a platinum sponsor. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
All right, thank you, Commissioners. Item 7 on page 50 is our character counts proclamation for February. So they are not here this evening, but they would ask that one of the Commissioners read this aloud, please.
Or did you want to read it?
Well, you were at
I
it.
had to ask. Who wants it?
You can sit and then know pretty quick.
Buck stops here. Okay, Proclamation 20-11. Whereas Queen Anne's County was declared a character counts community, and all citizens have been called upon to embrace the 6 pillars of character and incorporate and model them in their daily activities. And whereas February is Black History Month, and the character counts pillar of the month is respect. During Black History Month, we celebrate and respect the many achievements and contributions made by African Americans to our economic, cultural, and political development. And whereas all citizens will incorporate this value in their daily lives by displaying a regard for the worth of the people, including oneself, and whereas all citizens will be considerate of the feelings of other citizens and listen to their ideas and never judge or criticize. And whereas all citizens will continue to work towards becoming an inclusive community in which all citizens, past, present, and future, are respected and recognized for their contributions and potential contributions to our community, the state, the county, and the world. And whereas all citizens will help all other citizens in a time of need, and whereas all citizens will be polite, use good manners, and not bad language, and will set positive examples to peer, neighbors, and siblings. And whereas all citizens will not threaten, hit, or hurt anyone with words or actions, and will act peacefully when disagreements arise. And whereas this month, as we celebrate Black History Month, may all citizens remember to practice these important values of respect, regardless of the color of one's skin, and always follow respect's golden rule. Treat others the way you would want to be treated. Now, therefore, we, the County Commissioners of Queen Anne's County, do hereby proclaim February as Black History Month in Queen Anne's County, and the Character Counts pillar of the month to be respect. Signed, the Queen Anne's County Commissioners, and it was written by Joan Brooks. Very good. In the Parks and Recs. Thank you. All right. So we'll let Steve take that to Joan.
Thank you, Commissioner Moran, for reading that tonight. Okay, item number 8 is the first desk item, and it is a letter of support for Senate Bill 397, the sales and use tax for personal property tax exemptions for data centers. And this is sponsored by Senator Hershey, and I believe our folks in Kent County were looking to get support on this.
I move to sign a letter in support of Senate Bill 397.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? So, Jack, you want to try and explain this, or you want me to explain it? Basically, what this is Kent County, unlike Queen Anne's County, has 1 gig of service and fiber running through their entire county. So, and they have a main trunk, I believe, heading down the shore that crosses over and goes into Virginia, where the internet world begins. And what that means is Kent County is ripe for installing these huge data centers. They're just huge warehouses with nothing but computers in them. And what they're trying to do is get some exemptions for these data centers, because the equipment in them is extremely expensive. And if they were to put them in and not get it just wouldn't be cost effective. So this is to exempt the data centers, I believe, or at least reduce them for sure, the cost of their property tax. And we support that for our neighboring county, in Kent County, that's hopefully going to get some data centers.
Yep. Jobs.
Yep, jobs, exactly. So that's what that is. So, seeing no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? So moved.
All right, thank you, Commissioners. And item number 9 is our second desk item, and it is a letter of support for Senate Bill 794, House Bill 603, Regional Career and Technology Education Schools Authority.
I move to sign the letter in support of Senate Bill 794 and House Bill 603.
Second.
Discussion.
This is the remake of last year's bill to establish a regional CTE at Chesapeake College, which this is the
House unanimously.
cleared the House unanimously this year. It's been cross-filed in the Senate, and it has a pretty good sponsor line, so hopefully this year it will get through with flying colors.
Excellent. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. There we go.
All right, thank you, Commissioners. That concludes our action items for this evening. If you want to turn to tab number 6, we can run through our presentations tonight. First one we have is the Queen Anne's County League of Women Voters Proclamation, and Patricia Jameson, President, is here. Come on up, yeah, if you have some other members of your team, come on up and introduce them as well, please. And
last one.
Oh, believe me. I
Just see if it's long or not? Is that-
so that's tab 6, item I.
Good evening, ladies. Welcome.
Oh, good evening. It's nice to be here.
Glad you're here. So would you like to talk a little bit about, or do you want him to read first, or?
Well, we can go ahead and we can talk for a few
Excellent.
minutes, okay? And as a
Absolutely.
matter of fact, I was here at your last meeting, at which time there was a proclamation celebrating the 19th Amendment, the
That's
passing
right.
of the 19th Amendment, which gave women, finally, the right to vote. And that was signed on August the 26th, 1920. But 6 months before that, the League of Women Voters was founded on February 14th, so that's Friday, 1920. So on Friday, it will be the 100th anniversary of the founding of the League of Women Voters. And the reason it was founded was to support the new women's suffrage. These women were newly given voting rights, and they needed education. And so the League was founded to provide information to these newly enfranchised women so they could exercise their right to vote. But what happened was the League continued to expand over the years, and we have over 700 affiliates across the nation right now.
Wow.
And the founders believed that a nonpartisan league could provide information to the public to ensure the success of democracy. So, in 2003, and I have two of the founders here, Mary Camel and Joyce Woodford, were among those that founded our league here in Queen Anne's County. I'm rather a newbie to the league, but they are among the founders, and they have volunteered over the years, and they've contributed time and energy. And you're familiar with League of Women Voters.
Absolutely.
Because we
Run the
hold
best
forums, right? We hold voter registration. I brought a voter's guide. You're familiar with the voter's guide, everyone, which we put out. And we also have a website, lwv.org, leagueofwomenvoters.org. And the voter's guide is on there, and we have done something this year that we're very proud of. You can register online. So we encourage both men and women, because back in 1973, the charter was changed to allow men to also join the league. So anyone 16 years of age or older can join the league, both men and women. And we encourage you to work with us.
Absolutely. No.
And Joyce, would you like to say something? Mary?
Well, it's nice to see you all again. I think all of you have participated in our.
Generally, when we're up here and you guys are down there,
That's right.
there's a lot of questions being asked. On some very important issues. But all kidding aside, I know I speak for my fellow elected officials and folks that ran for office and participated in your forums. And for me, this was a second time through, and your organization does a top-notch job. It's always consistently fair. And you guys, your organization should be commended because of the fact that you run such a great forum. It's very informative. And then the League of Voters guide that you guys put out, information about the candidates and where they stand on the issues and what's important to them. Voters can't get enough information, in my opinion, when they go to make a decision on which way they're going to go, and you guys provide that information, and so kudos.
Thank you.
Outstanding.
Thank you so much.
That's what we're about.
That's what we're about. In fact, we're planning a forum on March 22nd. Right, Mary?
Right.
For the
For the House
primaries.
of Representatives.
Yeah, for the House of Representatives. So
Primary.
we're working on that one right now.
Okay, very good. Okay, well, Commissioner Fabrina?
All right. Okay, so this is a proclamation celebrating the 100th anniversary of the League of Women Voters of the United States. It's Proclamation 20-06. Whereas the League of Women Voters was founded in 1920 as a mighty political experiment by the four mothers of the suffragist movement at the National American Women's Suffrage Association. And whereas their goal was to help 20 million women who were granted the right to vote by the 19th Amendment understand and carry out their new responsibilities as voters. And whereas, with the success of this effort and the tireless efforts over the last 100 years to strengthen and uphold its mission to empower voters and defend democracy, the League has become a trusted, nonpartisan, grassroots organization. And whereas the League has sponsored legislation and fought in the courts to protect and strengthen voting rights and access, and for free and fair elections, civil rights, children, community health, and education. And whereas the League has consistently been noted for its nonpartisan election information, including a sponsorship of candidate forums and information on state and local ballot issues, as well as its commitment to register, educate, and mobilize voters. And whereas the League champions government systems that are open, transparent, inclusive, and equitable. And whereas the League believes that active and engaged citizens, irrespective of gender, ethnicity, or political affiliation, are the hallmark of a democracy. Now, therefore, we, the County Commissioners of Queen Anne's County, do hereby proclaim February 14th as Women's Voting Rights Day, and we honor and congratulate the League of Women Voters on its 100th anniversary and commend the League for its significant contributions to empowering voters and making democracy work. Signed by all the commissioners.
That's very good. Yes.
So for our viewing audience, if you ladies want to put a plug in for how someone can become a member or make a contribution to your organization, please feel
You
free.
can join online at League of Women Voters, lwv.org. You can join online. It's very simple. And you can put information about whether you want to volunteer. You can join online, ask us questions. So that's the easiest way. All right.
Very good.
Okay.
However, if you'd like us to put an application in the mail,
That's right. We can do that too. Or if you don't want to register online, you can just ask for one to be sent to you.
And you probably have the applications that when you have the forums, is there information?
Yes,
there
we
for
always
this?
have
everything's
information. We
there.
always have information there. You're absolutely right.
and at the voter registration desks that we try to have around at county events.
We're going to be at the Graysonville Community Event, which is sponsored by the people who are running the census here in the county, and we'll have a table there with information as well. Actually, we worked with Queen Anne TV on Friday, and we developed a short video with a history of the 19th Amendment, as well as a history of the founding of the League and the founding of the League here in Queen Anne's County. And it's in production right now, and it should be out soon, and we'll have that on our website. And we also have a Facebook page, so you can friend us on Facebook, and hopefully that video will be out soon, and Queen Anne TV will be running it on their website, so
Very good.
look for it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We have some more members here. Can you stand up, those of you who are here? Yeah, we have some more members here with us today.
We have a male member who needs to say.
Yes.
Male member here.
You don't have to be a girl to be in the League of Women Voters. I was going to ask that question, but I thought, no, I better not.
Okay. There we go. All right, whoopsie daisy. Let me grab this.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
All right, thank you all. Thank you very much. All right, Commissioners, our next presentation is Department of Emergency Services update. So we got Scott Haas and his team, and they can all come up to the table, please. And this is item number 4 in your books under tab 6. Item 4, IV. We had a cancellation, so I moved these guys up. So, yeah.
Parks and Recs? Parks canceled?
No. There was, it's off the agenda. There was another item 2 that's in the book there. Yeah.
What tab are we on, 6?
Tab 6, item 4. Yeah. And I think Scott has the same presentation up on the screen here for you as well.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. So with me tonight is our medical director, Dr. Ciatola. I've got Jim Alfrey, our communications chief, and Scott Wheatley, our EMS chief. We're going to give you 2 division updates. Our communications division is going to be up first, and then EMS is going to give you an update second. So Jim, you want to take it away?
Ooh, that went a little fast. So the first thing I want to touch on is, as we're all well aware, Hall Hens Law was signed last year by the governor, and it kicked in on July 1st. So 3 things that came out of that is we see an increase in the 911 user fees. The NSD can now cover some of the county operational expenses, and they also put forth a statewide staffing and salary studies. I can tell you from first quarter last year, we brought in $63,399.75. For the first quarter of this year, we're at $114,248.25. That does not include the prepaid cellular, which is stuck at 60 cents, which would be an additional on top of that. So we're running for the first quarter this year at $123,611.66. So that's almost, I think it was 80%, we're looking at about an 80% increase in what we're seeing in the 911 user fees. We're also looking at about $135,000 that we can reclaim in operational fees for the 911 center, and we're preparing that budget now, and we'll submit it to the numbers board for July 1st. So one of the things that came out of the staffing study was looking at our call volume and the number of people they're saying that we should have 6.8 full-time equivalents in our 911 center. So they were saying that we need to work on increasing our staffing, especially with the next generation 911 coming and text to 911. That was one of the big things out of the salary and staffing study. This covered, I just already kind of covered this, but this is where we're at with the revenue that we're seeing coming in. So we're looking at about 3 to about 350 that increases this year for the revenue. They also did a statewide and a county view of where we're at with the next generation preparedness. Queen Anne's County got a 6.81 out of a score of 10. If you see, we did really well on our staffing, and the reason we did so well on our staffing, it's not that we're fully staffed, it's just that we maintain the staff. We're one of the few centers that has a 24-hour shift, and we have a very small turnover rate compared to the other counties. We do advertise maybe 1 or 2 a year to fill, where most of the other centers have numerous openings that they cannot fill. Cybersecurity, that's always an issue that's ongoing, and you'll notice that we're in the red with the I-3 routing. Every county in the state is in the red because that is the next core generation, so that's what we're getting with. Training, we're kind of in the orange. we really don't know who our next gen provider is going to be, so we really can't train on it until we to select a next generation provider. And on that, the Eastern Shore, Queen Anne's County is the lead on this, and Mr. Jeff Rank is also part of our team. We are doing the RFP project to bring next generation 911 to the shore. Up there is our timeline. So we had a kickoff
Before you go any further, just for the public, can you explain what next generation 911 is? Because people hear it all the time, and I don't think they understand.
The next generation 911 is basically getting rid of all the copper. And we're going to go from a copper-based system, an old phone line system, to a complete internet system. So everything will be internet-based, IP-based. We're looking at fiber, we're looking at satellites and all like that. So nothing on copper. Everything is a computer-based system. It's basically the way to look at it. With that,
Basically, Verizon's getting out of the 911 business, and other providers are picking it up. That's
So-
basically what's happening.
copper does not support the bandwidth for text to 911, for MMS, multimedia, or for the video chatting, where the internet base does all of that. The copper does not support, as when you've seen the director brought in here, where how the pizza guy can find you, but 911 can't find you. With the IP routing, we'll be able to do that. Not only will we have where you're at, but we'll also get the Z, so we can tell you what floor you're at when we get to next generation 911, because all that data can be pushed through the EZNet, is what they're calling it, and not through copper. It just couldn't handle the bandwidth. So that in a nutshell is what next generation 911 is.
So is
It's not cheap.
So has the state of Maryland made a commitment to who's going to do it? I mean, who are Verizon and T&T or?
So right now, the state has not made a commitment across the state on who's going to provide the service. It's up to each jurisdiction to figure out how they're going to provide the service in their county. So what we did as shore counties, from Cecil County down to Ocean City, all 9 counties have joined together, and we're currently, Queen Anne's County is the lead of the project, and we're currently seeking and writing an RFP for the 9 counties to select a 911 provider. So we're currently in the process of doing that right now. We received a grant from the Numbers Board to pay for the process. We're hoping to have the selection for the next gen provider by December of this year.
That was a bill last year, wasn't it, Jonathan? You worked on that bill last year, didn't you?
Yeah, it was,
In each of the last 2 years.
it was a Mako bill last year that
Right.
actually passed.
But Senator Kagan is the one that has taken the lead on this and has really pushed this through the Senate, the state, and the Numbers Board.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're fine. So we have a very aggressive schedule. The state has put us under some pressure to have this done in a year. We had a meeting today with all the procurement officers from the 9 shore counties to make sure that if any county has any special language or conditions, that it's in the RFP. We hope to have the RFP released in May, back by August, and we're going to go August through October to grade, score them, and if we need to go into contracts or BAFO, best and final offers, October through December, and we look for all the shore counties to sign with one single provider in December. That is the goal, and so far we have a commitment from all 9 counties that whoever wins the RFP, they're going to go with. And I just want to give you a little bit of update on our 911 center project that we have going on. Have a lot going on there. Becker Morgan was awarded the contract with DPW, so we're looking at replacing the HVA system. We're going to cap off the 4 skylights in the 911 room. They're great for light, but when it rains, it's like a drum in there, and it is very hard to hear. And I've been here 3 years, and he's been here longer, saying that's the one complaint since day one. So we want to finally get that taken care of. We have 2 server rooms. We want to combine it into one so we can have better HVAC and dry
Humidity control.
Dry chemical.
so we have a fire. We're going to tear off we have a fiber board, the old carpet, basically it's carpet on the walls. We're going to rip that off and put new walling up, replace the flooring, put fiber optic cables underneath the floor, get rid of the old copper, and all the furniture will be replaced, and that'll be replaced from a Numbers Board grant, the furniture, so we don't have to worry about that. We are also in the process of building our new next-gen phone system. We should go before the Numbers Board in April for the funding for that, which is about $1.5 million. With that, we're going to be I3 compliant. It'll help with the Eastern Shore project that we're doing now with the next generation. We already have text to 911. Queen Anne's was the first in the state to go with the text to 911. This will also prepare us for the video to 911, and we're working. We have a project underway that you guys have approved for us. Is a number of board grant to run fiber from our primary 911 center to Kent County's backup 911 center, because we're going to start building that up so we have some place to go if something should happen here. Right now, both of our 911 servers sit side by side in the same room, so if that building goes down, we're completely down.
Right.
So that will help us get these geospatial call routing. So we'll have we'll have a server here in Queen Anne's, we'll have a server in Kent, so we'll be able to maintain our call volume and be able to process calls. And then, like I said, we'll have the XYZ coordinates, so we'll be able to tell you where you're at, but what level you're at. And then the last thing we have going on currently is our CAD replacement. We have the consultant going on that's been meeting with all the vendors. We have to have the RFP released by the 1st of March. We're continuing with the public safety systems approach. So every public safety entity will be part of this project and then be part of the CAD system and RMS system, records management system. Hope to have the bids back in April. Start doing some demonstrations so everybody can get their hands on it, see what it really is all about, to see if it's going to work for the sheriff's office, the fire service, the jail, and for the 911 center. And we hope to go into contract negotiations in June and have a contract in front of the board for you guys to sign on July 14th. Any questions on the 911 side of it? Scott.
Well, good evening, and thank you again for allowing some time to share what's going on in the EMS world. I'm going to focus on three main parts. Number one, I'm going to give you some statistics for 2019. I know you guys like numbers, and Commissioner Dumanel, a couple of these are just for you because I know how much you love numbers, so that's the numbers for you. What our plan for the upcoming year? Each year, and sometimes I need to get a grasp on this myself, I set goals for the division. What do we want to do this year to lead to next year and the following year, and try to lead that out? And I got a good boss here that allows us to do that. So what we're going to be doing this year coming up, and how we're going to incorporate training in that, because the backbone of everything and the backbone of success is training. So last year we ran just under 7,500 calls in Queen Anne's County. And that's a lot of incidents, still a little lower than we did 3 years ago, and I'm going to explain why I think that variable is happening. But with that, it resulted in 3,475 transports, and that is up from the previous years.
Just DES transports or anybody?
That's a combination. Okay. Now, hospitals. This is the first year Queen Anne ER took the lead in our hospitals of how many times we went there. Went to Queen Anne's ER 1,066 times. And I want to relate that probably due to the bridge and the problems getting across the bridge. We go to Queen Anne ER a little more often. And the ongoing alert status and bed time to get the patients off the bed at Anne Arundel. So we're able to get more patients into Queen Anne ER that may be able to benefit from the services there. Leading behind that was Anne Arundel, then Easton and Chester River. And there was an additional 149 patients that went to other regional hospitals, trauma centers, children's centers. We also transport some to Delaware hospitals, such as Kent, Delaware, and to Christiana for a trauma center. Your paramedics and EMTs in this county gave 9,163 medications, ranging anywhere from oxygen all the way up to Commissioner Wilson's favorite, fentanyl. So we make patients feel a little better. And another big one was naloxone and Narcan, and I'm going to talk about some success with Narcan here in a few moments as well. And in that, the EMS system, both career and volunteer, did 19,977 procedures. Anywhere from assessment. We touch a patient, we assess them, that's a procedure, to starting IVs, to doing CPR, to birthing a baby, et cetera, et cetera. So it was a busy year and a very competent year. Okay, so we brought down our opioid overdoses quite a bit last year, and I don't think that had anything directly to do with DES other than we were able to get there quicker. We were able to give the naloxone, Narcan earlier. We have a lot of people with the home Narcan. We have law enforcement with Narcan, and more importantly, we have the support of this commissioner group, DFC, the education of the community about opioids, and we brought that down from 122 in 2018 to 68 overdoses in 2019, and 16 deaths down to 12 deaths. Still too many. We're going to keep spreading the word. We're going to keep educating the public of how dangerous the opioid abuse is, and we're going to keep doing our point to get there quickly and remedy this and empower as many people as we can with hands-only CPR
Let me ask you a question.
Scott.
How are the deaths counted? Is it, I mean, if you get to somebody here, you transfer into Anne Arundel and they die in Anne Arundel, does that count as a death in this county or is that in Anne Arundel County?
If they come from this county, if it happens in this county, it counts as a death here. Unfortunately, as you're very well aware, sometimes we have patients go to other counties, or citizens go to other counties, they overdose and die there. We really have no way of identifying that.
And basically how we get the count, Scott works very closely with the sheriff's office on a weekly basis and sends a report on how many times we've transported somebody we suspected of an overdose, along with how many times we administered Narcan, and then the sheriff's office on their side confirms medically whether it was an actual overdose or not. And Dr. Ciatola gets the ME's report from Baltimore.
And we just met this morning with the opioid fatality review board from the state. We will be starting our own opioid fatality review board here in Queen Anne County, probably by the 1st of May, because we have to organize all the partnerships, get the MOUs, the confidentiality agreements, and we will start an opioid fatality review that now will not only look at those deaths that have occurred in Queen Anne County, but any resident of Queen Anne County who may have expired from an opioid or alcohol overdose in other jurisdictions.
This is the first one in the state.
No, this isn't the first one, but this is one, we're the second one starting in the Midshore. There's about 20 other opioid fatality review boards in the state, and the Midshore had been lagging behind everybody else in the state. And Talbot and Queen Anne's will be starting one within the next 2.5 to 3 months.
And then we're going to get
You're going to get
real
accurate
numbers.
data, because that way, myself as the chairman, and we'll have membership from DES as well as social services, law enforcement, education. We will get all of the confidential information on the entire history of that individual, not only what caused the fatality, but what treatment they had been in, what treatment was effective for a period of time and not, also looking at their criminal background as well as their school background and occupation.
So you must better see different patterns, and that will
We
help.
will be able to see truly what the pattern is
Yeah.
and what we need to adapt to change the statistics that we have been, let's say, critically saddled with over the last 3 to 4 years.
So on the alcohol side, would that be just toxic poisoning, or would you go down to cirrhosis and heart attacks from alcohol?
It's going to be more toxic alcohol ingestion, not chronic alcoholism and liver failure.
Yeah.
This is going to be more the acute alcohol
Okay.
intoxication.
Scott, real quick. So obviously the number of overdoses is about half, but the deaths per overdose is way up. So is that because of a change in what people are using, more fentanyl-laced stuff?
Had a
or-
lot of warnings, and in fact, I can publicly tell you this because it's public record now. Every overdose that occurred to a death was a fentanyl death.
Okay.
Because of the high potency of fentanyl. Nowhere along the level of the fentanyl we carry. We don't carry that potency level. This is when people mix it, don't understand what they're mixing and understand what they're putting in it, and that's what leads to deaths.
And I think I heard somewhere, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, that they're now seeing a rise in cocaine or fentanyl-laced cocaine deaths as well, correct? That's something
That's the point.
Purposely mixed together, so just as you're starting to take the downward plunge, if you catch yourself, you can give yourself the hit of cocaine and bring you back up, or so they think. So, it's just another thing that we're learning about, and every year we're learning something new from the intel that the sheriff's office is able to share with us. So,
Thank you.
all right. So the next two things I want you to buckle up, because this is really good news and exciting news. So back in the summertime, our cardiac monitor company came to us and said, hey, we want to do a project with you. I spoke to you a little bit about this. We want to analyze your cardiac arrest response. We want to collect scientific data and grade you how you're doing so then you can improve. So we opened up our closet and we let our skeletons out and we had them grade us. And we based everything taken on science. and we showed how we could improve in our cardiac arrest survivability by the amount of people we have respond, by the equipment, the way we're responding, the way we do procedures, still maintaining within normal Maryland protocol. Last time I was in here, I was excited to tell you that we had about an 18% cardiac arrest survivability, which is very high for the nation. Tonight I sit in front of you, and it may be a variable, and I don't want to do a dance yet, but for the month of January, we have a 50% return of spontaneous circulation, patients arriving at the hospital with a pulse after being in cardiac arrest. And that is going to be earth-shattering if we can maintain that. 3 things account to that. Our training. Every time you see I come to you about training and budgets and money for training, we've got the best providers there are. They want to train. They are loving training. The more training opportunities we give them, the better they're going to do. Number 2, the equipment. You all have not gone cheap with our equipment, and now hopefully we're showing you the fruit of the outcome of that. For the first time, I'm so proud of this when this was given to me. And thirdly, we give them the best of everything. We get them good transport units. We give them good stations. We got the best shift as far as I'm concerned, and we have great employees. So I'm very proud to report that to you, and we're going to continue this. Every one of our cardiac arrests, from the time we arrive to the time they get to the hospital, are being evaluated from start to finish to see how we can continuously improve on that. And I'm very excited about that. The second thing is Stop the Bleed has continued. Parks was the last department just a few weeks ago that we did our Stop the Bleed presentation, and every employee there enjoyed it greatly. We're going to continue that education throughout the county as well to every county employee, and as well as every county employee by the end of this year will have CPR and AED updated as well. And I expect to see you all there playing with my Stop the Bleed mannequin at some point. We will have a good time, I promise. This next one is one that again, the second part I want you to buckle your seatbelts for. I'm going to go a little bit out of order here. Our mobile integrated community health team is continuing to do great. They're up to 3 visits a day. I think why our call volume has decreased is because we have less people abusing 911. We have less people calling 911 for the petty things, and we have less people needing a ride to the hospital to get nourishment. The MIC team is meeting all that. Here's the really awesome thing. We are the only EMS system in the nation currently testing A1C. A1C is a blood test to maintain diabetes. To maintain that in a neutral level, stopping the diabetic patient from going too high or too low. As we can do that, we decrease the calls for 911, we get them what they need at home, and we maintain their diabetes at home without the additional care of an ER transport and presentation. And this is one of our paramedics, Casey Amos, took the lead in that, and we developed it. We got the okay from the state, and we have launched it, and it is going fantastic. And that, gentlemen, I am very excited to share with you tonight. And we also have developed a new recruitment test. It cost us a little bit of money. We were learning that we were getting people in, good EMTs, but they weren't passing the written test because as you get out of school, you forget some of the basic information, and we were losing good clinicians. So we bought this test, and this test more civil service, reading, writing, teamwork, team aptitude, and we're in the process of hiring a new class right now. We have a conditional offer out, and because of you, and I want to preach to you that I'm going to continue knock at your door getting the best stuff, the best benefits, because as soon as I get 3 or 4 really good trained paramedics, you've heard this before, I have 2 leave for bigger jurisdictions. So I'm going to keep asking for better things because I want to maintain these clinicians here in Queen Anne's County to have a career here, not just a job. And with that, I want to thank you for all the support you do. We're going to continue educating through Queen Anne's Television out in the public and keep being the EMS department that you all have asked us to be.
Any questions? Thank you.
It might be a matter of public interest that Commissioner Corchino and I and 2 members met with Easton Shore Hospital. Why don't you?
No, go ahead.
No,
but
please.
you forgot. You
No.
Tom. I don't want to steal your thunder on this. So go ahead.
No.
I'm waiting with bated anticipation.
After you, Alphonse. It's come to our attention that Anne Arundel Hospital is now very badly backed up by flu. A week ago, they were on alert, which means don't go to our hospital. 120 hours. I think they're down to 56 this week, but they are backed up. It's come to what we believe is our understanding that the emergency room here in Queenstown needs to be expanded in order to anticipate growth of service. And one of the problems the state has, and Dr. Ciatola can amplify on this good one, is that the state reacts and measures out medical services according to what past data is. But with our county, with Four Seasons coming online, with that assisted living right across the street, we need to get ahead of this. It's not like China where we can put up a hospital in a week. It takes us 3 years to do anything. So we're trying to get ahead of the curve with Shore by adding maybe another 5 or 10 beds down in the EMS there. And, sir?
In addition to putting pressure on them for evaluating and stepping up their evaluation of an urgent care.
Yes.
Which is something that
So anyway, we're actively, as a government, trying to push the hospital system as well as EMS so that the whole thing works. And a good question would be, sir, would it make sense for the same group that went to Shore to go to visit with Mrs. Bayless and company over in Anne Arundel?
I think that it would be beneficial to have a conversation with the administration and leadership of Anne Arundel Medical Center, and also as to the freestanding emergency room in Queenstown, as well as the need for urgent care. I plan to present that question to the corporate board tomorrow morning.
Good.
Because I think it's critical that we stay ahead of this curve, because our volumes are going to significantly continue to increase.
You're seeing the code yellow, don't bring your ambulatory patients to us.
Absolutely.
To Anne Arundel more often than not of late.
Yes, absolutely, that is correct.
But what's causing more problems for us is not so much when they go on alert or go on a code. What's causing more of a problem for us is when we show up in the ER and we unexpectedly have to wait 3.5 hours for a bed.
Now we have ambulance out of service that long?
Yes. So,
Or 2 or 3 units out of service that long.
and then you compile that with the bridge traffic, and we don't have a short way of getting back either. We could be gone. One transport can cost us 5 hours of out of service time. And it's just a growing problem.
So we're working on it.
And because Anne Arundel is so busy, they now have ambulances from Prince George's County that are coming over to Queen Anne's County. Because Anne Arundel's on alert, they got to skip them and come to us. So that adds to our burden.
Crazy.
Gentlemen, I know I sound like a broken record. I say this every time I'm in front of you. I'm the face that I talk to you the most, but it's our dedicated staff, the men and women that are making this happen, as well as the volunteers in this county. So I just want to say that as usual. Thank you.
Those staffing issues tomorrow.
It is.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Great job.
Thank you, gentlemen. All right. Well done. All right, Commissioners, next we have our feature presentation this evening. We have
Feature.
Director Stephen Shanley
Our
from the
feature
Department of
presentation.
Parks and Recreation.
The main act,
Oh.
That's for last,
That's right. That's right.
trumpets.
Director Shanley, take it away, sir.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, I appreciate the opportunity to give you our quarterly update. First thing going is we have White Marsh, as I spoke to you before. This was a project that was pending. We finally got approval for it. It's going to be a edible forest trail over at White Marsh Park. It's going to be 1.6 acres. It will be, it's already starting to be implemented in. It'll be completed by June. It'll be a 5-year program agreement with the Maryland Food Bank and DNR.
So who or what is eating the edibles?
People, actually,
Good
believe it or
question.
not.
So we're allowed to have people walk in there, walk on the trail, pick something and eat it, and we're
Correct.
fine. They don't have an allergic reaction, eat something poisonous or anything crazy like that.
Signage of...
In fact, there was a meeting this afternoon at 1 o'clock, so that's why this slide is not in your presentation. But it's a sample of what the sign would look like. It'll show basically the plots of land, the fruits that are there. There's high hush blueberry,
There's common elderberry, American hazelnut, black chokeberry, pawpaw, wild American plum, and persimmon. It tells, the estimated harvest time, and it also talks about the culinary and medicinal uses. Out of all of those, you can eat right off the vine except for one, and it is clearly noted, and that is the common elderberry. It says, do not consume when it's raw. It has to be cooked. So plenty of signage will be up there. This isn't the first one that's done in the state, so.
Okay.
Elderberry.
So I knew you were going to come up with that one. And it's a good question. It's a good
My wife on a
question.
trip through the edible garden.
How's the sign? Try this berry.
No poinsettias.
No poinsettias. So continuing on, some of the projects we have, we've got some 3 program open space projects. We've got a Churchill Southeast Creek acquisition, which is supposed to go before the Board of Public Works probably on March 4th. We have the Cross Island Trail repaving, which is also supposed to go to the Board of Public Works on March 4th.
Has any of that started yet? The paving?
No, it hasn't.
Okay.
We're still waiting for approval. We actually just talked to Brambles. We've gotten quotes from them, trying to get on their schedule, and right now we're looking at a mid-March to early April paving time for those projects. Again, it's going to be weather dependent and temperature dependent as well, so we're going to be right at the top of the list. The last program open space project we have is a court rehab project, which includes resurfacing basketball courts and tennis courts, and they're listed there before you. Just to kind of give you some idea of some other things that we've completed, we did the Ewing Pond parking lot. We paved that. Crumpton Park parking lot will be tar and chipped in the spring, and then we'll continue on with the natural surface trail in the summertime.
Okay.
That's also on our radar.
Excellent.
As I mentioned, the Kent Island South Trail repaving, as well as Cross Island Trail repaving, and the Blue Heron golf cart path, and that's the picture that you see there, and it'll be the back 9 or the new 9, whichever you prefer to call. And last but not least, as far as projects is, as you well know, the Cross County Connected Trail was dedicated November 1st. It's been a very good acquisition and completed project for us. I drive by that all the time. There's always somebody on there. In addition to that, because we did a little extra maintenance to Long Point Park, the trail and the extra maintenance that we've done has really reactivated Long Point Park, and you see people walking through there, walking with their dogs, or just running through there. So there's a lot more activity, and it just goes to show a little attention goes a long way. Moving on to recreation, we're right smack dab in the middle of basketball. As you can see, we've got basketball teams from 6 to 17 for both boys and girls. The numbers are up there. We've got a total of 519 boys and a total of 244 girls, so just under 800 participants. We also have indoor soccer going on at the 2 middle schools in Centerville and Stevensville for almost 500 participants. Just some other opportunities. We've got volleyball, open gym, some people's favorite. We've got pickleball out there 2 days a week on Fridays and Sundays. That's an indoor thing which will continue till the weather breaks, and then they'll go back out to Mowbray Park, which seems to be their favorite spot. We offered 2 trips this year to the public. In fact, last weekend we took a trip to the Smithsonian National Museum of African American History and Culture. And we took 2 busloads of folks out there, which is about 74 people. When I was composing this slide, at that time the Philadelphia Flower Show only had 16 people. 2 days later, we're filled up with two busloads again. Wow. So those are 2 of our most popular trips that we offer. Again, some after-school programs with bowling, Shooting Stars basketball program.
Where's the after-school bowling?
They go down to Talbot County.
Okay.
One of our favorite topics and one of our newest initiatives that we have is artificial turf field use. In the fall of 2019, we opened it up. Under there, you can see all of the different user groups that have utilized the field during that time and the hours associated with it.
How's the managing that go? Is it Mr. Miller that's helping
James Miller, yes.
Yeah,
He's our
so
coordinator.
how's it going with that? I mean, obviously with just the 2 turf fields in the county, I imagine they're very, very popular.
They are, and they're getting more and more popular especially as we get closer to the spring season. And, as the weather continues to be wet and the fields are inundated with water, I think those numbers are only going to continue to go up. So right now, we're doing well. It's a learning process. It's new, but we've got field monitors out there when user groups come out, so people get on at the right time. They get off, we lock it up, and then continue on from there. We work in coordination, obviously, with the schools because they are a large user. It's obviously it's not their site, so there's coordination between the 2 entities. Saturdays. There's also a little bit of give and take. We have a certain start time on Saturdays, and school has some time. So we flip-flop times back and forth to accommodate each other's uses. In fact, we met with the Board of Education probably about 2 weeks ago just to kind of go over the schedule, some of the things that are going on, little kinks that we've run into. And just, if we don't have that communication, we're going to have big problems. And, our anticipation is to continue to meet with them just to keep, everything going.
I haven't heard anything negative about
that's a good thing.
the usages and the time that the school's getting and what the high school student athletes need, and then, of course, our youth programs. So good.
And I think that's a perfect example.
That was going to be a big concern.
And hear from tons of kids how much they love those fields. I mean,
Playing on the turf, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's, as we go into the spring sports for high school, the artificial turf is really going to come into play because actually high school sports start on February 29th. And, you look outside now and we've got all this rain and the water is just sitting there. So the schools are going to have to do a lot of internal scheduling themselves just to try to get people to get some time on there before the fields get open. Any other time, the high schools would probably, jump on the field whenever they possibly could, and they'd tear it up really before the season would actually start. And then, the field will never recover for their season, and it'll never recover for the spring or the following, summer season as well. So, we're hoping this will alleviate some of those problems. Continuing on, we've already had, like I said, spring of 2020 requests. We've had a bunch of those, and we've had a few more come in since this writing. And again, I talk about communications, and this is with the county leagues. And we have our fall league meeting actually in the summer, the end of summer. As you can see up there, we've reached out to about 2,100 youth participants, and that encompasses about 8 organizations or leagues, 300 adult participants in leagues. One of the nice things was there's 2 cross-county organization events that use the Kent Island High School artificial turf fields, and that was QA Soccer Club and the Kent Island Youth Soccer League. They had an all-star game there. And then UQA Football and the Chesapeake Piranhas had a turkey bowl there. So again, I think that's a good community use of the field. It's guaranteed to be nice, and it kind of gives that that special atmosphere for those games. And just for your information, just fields in use by each district. In our southern part of the county, we've got 27 athletic fields. The central part of the county has 24, and the north has 12. So there's a lot of fields out there, but there's still I'm sure people would always say they could always use more. So that might be coming to you later. And again, we have all sports league meeting in December. And again, that's just to kind of go over how the fall went, see what's coming up, making sure that, the artificial turf process is still working, making sure everybody's aware of that process. Because when it came on, it started in September, and, it was a quick start. So then we had a chance to have a little bit of action on there. And then we continued on. Just last week, we had our spring meeting for all the spring sports. They turned in their schedules for practices and games, and we'll be allotting time accordingly. With our special events, as far as recreation, we worked in cooperation with the Corsica River Conservancy and Yacht Club as far as putting on Corsica River Day. They came to us last year telling us that they're interested in slowly pulling out and handing the program over to us. I told them that I would like to have it as a 2-year training period. We worked together last year, half and half. This year, we're taking on a little bit more responsibility. The following year, in 2021, we'll be taking it over completely by ourselves, and it seems to be working. They're happy with, how the transition is going. It's a good way to make sure that we don't lose any institutional knowledge and experience that's going on with the program. We offered our first 5K trail run out at Conquest Preserve. We cut some new trails through there. Got a lot of great reviews about the atmosphere, the way the course was laid out. We had about 64 participants, and because of that, we wanted to go ahead and continue to offer another one. So now we're going to do one in March. And March, coincidentally, goes with the previous presentations. March is Women's History Month, so we're going to have a Women's History Celebration 5K trail run at White Marsh Park. In addition to being able to register for the race, people can also go online as they register for that race. They can also make a donation to the Mary Edward Dean Burke Emory Foundation, which will go towards Mary Margaret's project out there. So it's a good way to kind of have a collaborative rec program and also a historical archaeological event as well. Good way to publicize what's going on, not just the event itself. One of the last events, last year we had Taste of the Mattapique down at Bats Neck. First time program, we had about 400 participants that came through. This year we're going to go ahead and do the program again, but we've decided to move it up to the Mattapique Clubhouse and Beach. That will be in early, actually mid-May. And of course we've got the fireworks celebration on July 1. It rains July 2nd. Park resources, park resource and planning. Two pictures up here are some tree planting that we've done at Old Love Point Park. The top one is where the flagpole is and where the trail has been rerouted. Same with the bottom one. That picture there is actually where the old trail used to be. So we took up the old asphalt and we dug down and planted more trees out there. We also did some landscaping also at the park. There's a lot of information here for Blue Heron Nature Preserve. There's going to be a lot of plantings that are coming up in the spring and the fall. I'm not going to bore you and read everything through there. But one thing that I know Commissioner Moran will like was there's approximately 150 larger caliper trees that are going to be planted along Blue Heron driving range entrance. So that one's that one's
one of those little whips.
We're also looking to do an Arbor Day celebration in April of 2020. And right now we've got about more than 9 acres of high-functioning wetlands that were created this past year there. Again, out at Conquest, we've got a great project partner with Washington College, and they're going to plant about 22,000 trees and shrubs out there. And it's a great program with the college and the environmental organizations out there. Right now, we have 80 acres that have been planted in the past 10 months, and we're looking to do about 40 acres of wetland habitat coming this summer. As far as miscellaneous, we've got a lot of different programs that are out there working with Shore Rivers to develop some BMP, best management practices, to assist with Cox Creek and Love Point and vicinity. We're looking to do 30 acres of wetland restoration on lands at the Chesapeake College. And we also applied for the MHAA grant to assist the Watermen's Association with refurbishing or rehabilitating their monument and surrounding site. Continuing on with training, I think that's very important, and this is a great time for us to jump in and do that. We had the active shooter training for 2 days in January. We also had Stop the Bleed, as Scott Wheatley had mentioned. Again, that was 2 days of training there. Coming up late next week, we're going to do first aid and CPR training as well. And again, with the training, it's great to have all those things, but if you don't have healthy employees and good employees to be able to do the work, it's no good. So we've actually, through our safety program, we have decided to have a weight loss challenge program. So we've got about 20 people that have signed up for it. It's about 10 weeks long, and winner will get some nice little prizes. So again, having good, healthy employees and good training, it all works hand in hand. You got to take care of your employees, both at work and after work as well. Public landings, the new permits are out. They're orange. We actually started selling them in December to carry them through, so there'd be a nice crossover. One of the major projects I'm just going to touch upon is the Corsica River dredging project, and the dredge material placement site. Ritalik & Sons has won the bid. It's a $150,000 program. It's from the Waterway Improvement Grant. By May 15th, they're supposed to be substantially done with that, and dredging is actually expected to start in July of 2020 on the Corsica River. And then this last slide is just a picture where you can see detailed the depths of the water. I'm not sure if you can see the red line that goes through, but that is actually the area that is to be paved. That's the channel itself. And that's our quick presentation for what's been happening the last couple of months. I'm not sure if you guys have any questions or comments.
No trucks?
Not today.
No trucks. Hand this out to the Pratt members too.
Yeah.
How are the spoils going to get to that location? So I'm looking at
They'll be trucked over.
so,
Let's see if I can go back.
okay.
Yeah, that's going to be the only
Barge
way that
pulls
they
up here
can,
and then
they
Right.
can get there.
I'm just wondering how they're going to get to this location
they
here.
drive over there.
Just through here, I guess?
Very good.
Good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you again.
Very good. Thank you, Steve.
Been here
Well done.
This,
Yep.
this is like the third time we've used the same location.
Yeah,
So it's not like it's something new.
right.
So, awesome. All righty.
All right, Commissioners, if you want to turn to tab number 7, we have a few legislative items. The first one is County Ordinance 20-02, the establishment of the Queen Anne's County Farmland Preservation Fund.
I'll introduce that.
Okay, Commissioner Moran's going to introduce that bill, Ordinance 20-02. And our second item is County Ordinance 20-01, Public Facilities Bond Authorization of 2020. That is ready for a vote if you so choose to do so.
Mr. Wilson, we need you.
I'm sorry.
All right.
Okay, we
So
have,
we've got bill number 20-01, Public Facilities Bond Authorization of 2020. Can I get a motion?
So moved?
And a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? So moved. There we go.
okay, that concludes our agenda. We have our second press and public comments. If you want to come up and make any public comments this time. Anybody sign up?
Yeah. Mary Margaret?
Good evening. Just a quick reminder, February 22nd, Washington's birthday, and the Snowball dinner to raise desperately needed money for Bloomfield right now. We still have all of those wonderful pipes we put in the ground to pay for. So hopefully we will get a lot of dinner guests. But in case you're thinking about it, you should also know that today I had a call from Speaker of the House, Adrian Jones, to discuss what she's going to be saying at the dinner. So she's our main lady at the dinner. But we're also going to be honoring the Women's Caucus, who had a really tough time in their formation years, and we're going to tell that story.
When is it? And where is it? And how much does it cost?
The dinner is at the Crown Plaza Hotel, 6 p.m. Tickets can be purchased online at What's Up Tix. And it's going to be a really great evening.
Crown Plaza, is that the one, Mary Margaret, over by the Annapolis Mall?
No.
Yes, it's right by the Westfield Mall.
Yeah. So
Yes.
Green Turtle?
It's right
there, Green
right
Turtle?
on, it's very easy. Come over the bridge, go down Route 50, turn off at the mall, and just
Where the green turtle is.
scoot into the Crown Plaza Hotel parking lot. And it's in the Queen Anne's room as well.
And that's
So-
March 22nd?
February.
22nd, 6 p.m.
February 22nd?
February 22nd, 6 p.m.
So the only way you can buy the tickets is online?
Online
Okay.
or at the door.
Oh, okay.
At the door. But if you're going to get them at the door, we do have a problem because there's a choice of meals. So there's
They'll
only.
take the lobster.
I wish. In any case, thank you. That's all.
You got it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Would anybody else like to speak? Seeing none, we'll close the press and public comment. Go right to roundtable. Numero uno.
I'm good.
You don't want to update anything on Kerwin or anything?
Well, just a Kerwin got,
The bill's out?
the bill is out, all 170, 80 plus pages of it. I did spend my time yesterday because I had nothing better to do but read it cover to cover, and all I can say is it's going to be a good ride for the next few weeks in Annapolis. Anybody looking to get anything else done in Annapolis for the next few weeks probably ain't going to happen because they're going to have their hands full with this thing. So I'll keep you updated. Like I said, the hearing is this Monday. It's a joint hearing. It's going to probably be a circus, and I'm not sure what's even going to come out of that hearing. So other than that, they dropped in the last 2 weeks almost a little over 1,300 bills have been dropped down there. So it's quite the zoo getting through a lot of it right now, and a lot of it hasn't had hearings yet. But within the next 3 or 4 weeks, some more stuff will take shape. And I know we've actually got quite a few bills in this year that we're concerned about, and none of them have had hearings yet. So by the next meeting, we should have some. Should know what's going to happen with some of those. So.
Okay. Mr. Wilson, the senior?
I think just we want to keep the public's attention on the fact that if you get sick, prepare to spend long periods of time in the waiting rooms of any hospital you go to. Our emergency room is the best, shortest amount of time. We're now up to almost 18,000 people running through there a year, and new people coming on all the time. And Shore Health is considering putting an urgent care over here, quite hard, and looks like that might happen, and that's that.
Excellent. Commissioner Dumino.
It's been a run through January and early February on Saturdays where we're having our installation of officers in our 9 different volunteer firehouses, and I know that the responsibilities to attend these things have been spread out amongst the commissioners. But it's good to know that we have great men and women who serve as volunteers in our fire suppression and as EMTs riding ambulances as well to support our county-run ambulance services. But it's a treat to attend these things and see the commitment that these folks unselfishly make. A lot of them have families. A lot of them are career firefighters across the bridge, whether it be DC or Prince George's County or Anne Arundel County, and then they come over here and they serve unselfishly. So I just a quick shout out and thank them for that. That's all I have.
Very good.
I'll piggyback a little bit on what Commissioner Dumanel said. He and I both attended the United Communities Fire Department Awards and Installation Officers, and then we also attended the Penn Island Volunteer Fire Department. And for people who are watching who have younger kids and you're looking for something for them to do, encourage your kids to get active with the Volunteer Fire Department. It's a great way for them to learn responsibility, some skills, and give back to the community. Just great group of citizens there who give of their time, and your kids would benefit from it. So encourage them to do that. Also, Todd, Mine, and I have attended 2 recent Housing Authority meetings that have had quite a different tone than we've seen in the past. There's a lot of progress that's being made with the Housing Authority. They're now accepting public comment, and residents are able to come there and tell what their concerns are, and they're getting responses the next meeting. And everybody's found that the world does not fall apart when we let the public come and speak and voice their concerns. I want to thank the Housing Authority, the board members, and the interim director for their efforts at drastically improving the community outreach. It's really been a fantastic thing to see. Thank you to former Commissioner Billups for agreeing to serve on the Housing Authority. He just had his first meeting. Probably having second thoughts on volunteering because it was a quite lengthy meeting. They're going through a lot of the finances and getting the books in order. And I think we're going to see great things that we can be proud of with the Housing Authority going forward. Lastly, so I don't get in trouble, since we don't have a meeting next week, I will wish my wife Kelly a happy birthday next week. And that way I can make sure door's unlocked when I get home tonight. Thank you.
Wow. Her birthday's next week?
Next week?
What day?
18th.
The 18th?
18th.
Well, you got me out of hot water because my wife's the 17th, so I'm
that
going to wish her happy birthday right now. So how about that? So,
We'll send them off together.
that's right. There you go. Very good. All right. Well, I guess I want to touch on something I didn't mention last meeting. I kind of dropped the ball there. I was privileged enough to go down to Bayside Elementary and witnessed the first Queen Anne's County school in 20 years to get the Maryland Blue Ribbon School Award. And kudos to Mrs. Welsh and her staff down there and the kids for getting this Blue Ribbon Award. It's the first one in 20 years that the county got. And I want to thank my fellow commissioners. We granted them a $10,000 grant to use strictly for that school. Hopefully that will be something that will enrich the kids and the staff alike, but hope to see more of those in the future. I also want to say that pretty much almost everybody here, January 31st, got to witness the first female judge in the history of Queen Anne's County take the bench. And, you know, I would just would like to say to Judge Knight, congratulations. And I can't remember if she was the 14th or the 13th.
It was 16th.
Is that what it is?
Out of 308 years.
Yeah, it was apparently in the old courthouse. There's pictures that encompass the whole courthouse, and they're all men. And now there's going to be a female up there. So, you know, I mean, I'm kind of proud about that for Queen Anne's County, our new courthouse, a new female judge, and that goes for Brynja Booth on the highest court in the state. So, you know, kudos to both of those. And the last thing I want to talk about is February 20th at 1 p.m. We have our first hearing in Annapolis when it comes to trying to get control of the exit ramps on Route 50 westbound and trying to deal with our traffic woes in the summertime. And I'm asking anybody that has pictures of congestion, especially, you know, like, for instance, in the Graysonville area, anywhere where there's homes and there's parked cars out in front of your house, in your yard, with chairs on the hood and coolers and everything else, you know, we're putting together a little video clip that we want to present when we're testifying, and anybody that wants to come to that testimony, just, you know, do you know what the bill numbers are, Jack? That's okay. We'll post those out there, but there's so many of them, I get them confused. I don't want to get
1 o'clock on the 20th or 2?
Yeah, it's 1 o'clock is when it starts. What time we go probably will depend on how many people show up.
Yeah.
You know, if there's a couple busloads of Queen Anne's County citizens,
Let's
maybe
fill
they'll
the
let us
room.
go first. But you know, this is a process, and this is the start of it. So we'll see what comes of it. And
actually, if anybody in the public does want to speak, please contact the commissioner's office so we can get them on the list in advance. Because
you can't just show up and speak. You have to be signed up before, 3 hours before, or something to that nature. You know, you have to be signed up beforehand. But you know, this is the beginning, because you know, Commissioner Wilson's right. We have a lot of bills in between liquor laws, traffic issues, brag issues, balloon bill, which passed the Senate today. I see Jay sitting in the back. So, you know, it's
CTE bills in.
Yeah, CTE. Yep, that's CTE. And so, I mean, there's a lot going on. It's a busy season, and a lot for Queen Anne's County. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to
adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There we go.